The cold waters and ice flows of the Bering Sea between Russia and Alaska are home to one of the world's most curious marine mammals, the walrus. It's certainly an unusual-looking creature, but one which is extremely well adapted for life in the harsh environment in which it lives. It has a thick layer of blubber under its skin to protect it from the sub-zero temperatures of the Bering Sea. Although the water is so cold, it's able to support large numbers of marine mammals like walruses because it's extremely rich in marine organisms. The walrus's scientific name, Odobenus, means tooth walker. It's an unlikely description for any animal, but, as we'll see later, in the case of the walrus, it's not too far from the truth. In winter, walruses divide their time between riding the drifting pack ice and swimming in the Bering Sea's icy waters. But every year, at the approach of spring, they undertake remarkable journeys, which we're going to follow. Unlike their closest relations, fur seals and sea lions, walruses aren't fish eaters. Instead, their diet consists almost exclusively of crustaceans and other small marine animals. The ivory tusks, which may be over 3 feet long in adults, aren't connected with obtaining food, as was previously thought. In order to feed, walruses dive to the ocean bed and then sift through the mud, using the sensitive bristles on their lips to find the clams, which are their main food. Then, they siphon the animals out of their shells using their lips and tongue. The walrus's tusks are really elongated canine teeth. They're a useful means of defense, and also used during aggressive encounters between adults. These two are engaged in a struggle for dominance. The tusks continue growing throughout the animal's life. The heaviest individuals with the largest tusks tend to be the most successful in such disputes. Fighting walruses use their tusks to telling effect and sometimes inflict serious wounds with them. The tusks have other uses. This female is using them to gain a purchase on the ice as she hauls her weight of over a ton back onto the floe. That's how the walrus got its name of tooth walker. When they're resting in water, walruses often use their tusks to anchor themselves to the ice. Walruses live in both Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. During winter and early spring, the much larger Pacific population is concentrated at the southerly edge of the pack ice in the Bering Sea. The herds contain animals of mixed ages and sexes, but groups of cows and their young form the nucleus of the walrus's social organization. Midwinter is the walrus's mating time. The herds of cows are attended by mature rival bulls, which indulge in curious courtship rituals in the water. The bull's calling and displaying advertises their presence to the cows. It also reinforces their own dominance hierarchy. As the ice begins to break up and drift slowly northwards, the walrus herds start to move with it. Their destination is the Chukchi Sea. It lies to the north of the Bering Strait, which once formed a land bridge between the continents of Asia and North America. On migration, walruses may swim non-stop for 2 or 3 days at a time before hauling out on the ice floes to rest. The northward drifting currents continue to carry them in the right direction. The pregnant females, which conceived the previous year, start to choose isolated floes on which to bear their young. The peak of the birth season is in May. Walruses are very attentive mothers. This one is gently encouraging her calf to take its first swimming lesson. It takes the calf some time to master the technique. Its mother stays close at hand. If the calf becomes tired, she swims underneath to support it. Sometimes a young calf even hitches a ride on its mother's back. The bond between cows and their calves is very strong. A calf suckles until it's a year old and will remain with its mother until the age of 2. It needs this time to learn the specialized feeding method, which is unique to this species. The calves grow stronger as they join the movement northwards. By June, the herds cross the Arctic Circle as they pass through the Bering Strait. The summer pack ice is a favorite hunting ground for the Arctic's most powerful predator, the polar bear. Walruses have few natural enemies, but the polar bear is one of them. Polar bears prey chiefly on seals. Adult walruses, with their formidable tusks and immense size, are too strong for bears to tackle, but they occasionally manage to catch the younger animals. When a bear is hunting walrus calves, it must first make the adults so uneasy that they abandon the ice floes. The bear is having some success, and the herds are becoming increasingly nervous. In this situation, the slower-moving calves are often lost into the water. The bear is hoping to catch one which gets left behind. The calves in this group have managed to stay close to their mothers. The animals seem to know that they've got little to fear from the bear. But on another floe, it's managed to snatch an unguarded calf. The remains of the carcass may weigh several hundred pounds, but a polar bear can drag it across the ice with ease. Very few calves actually fall prey to bears. The herds which arrive in the Chukchi Sea to the north are composed of females and their young. Herds of bulls also visit these waters, but thousands of others, which also spent the winter in the Bering Sea, have been heading in a quite different direction. In spring, large numbers of walrus bulls that didn't travel north head for the Walrus Islands in Bristol Bay off the southwest coast of Alaska. By May, they begin to congregate on Round Island. It's the only remaining major haul-out left off the Alaskan coast. Throughout the summer, thousands of walruses pack the beaches on Round Island, but every single one is a male. For the bull walruses, the haul-out beaches provide an essential retreat. They've come here to rest and molt, and to recover from wounds inflicted during courtship battles over females earlier in the year. At the peak of the congregation, up to 15,000 bachelor bulls may gather on the island's beaches. Packed together like giant sardines, they constantly squabble for the limited space available. The largest bulls with the biggest tusks usually obtain the best resting places by virtue of their dominance. Smaller males stand little chance of finding any space. The larger bulls simply won't give them any room. Even large bulls have to use their tusks to help them win a place in the throng. Sometimes perseverance pays off. This adolescent male has already managed to push through the ranks nearest the water. Finally, after scrambling over the bodies of his companions, he succeeds. But when a bull decides to return to the sea, he meets less opposition. The place he's vacated will soon be filled by others. Many walruses which visit Round Island bear evidence of fighting. Broken tusks and lacerations to the skin are commonplace. But walruses are very thick-skinned. The hide on the necks and forequarters of adult bulls is also covered by knobbly projections. They're associated with full sexual maturity, but also serve as added protection against the rapier-like jabs of their rivals' sharp tusks. Nobody has actually observed walruses feeding underwater in the wild, but it's almost certain that the tusks don't serve any purpose in feeding. It's the sensitive whiskers or vibrissae on the upper lip which play an important function in locating shellfish buried in the mud. And the walrus uses its strong lips and tongue to siphon the meat out of the shells. The bulls which haul out on Round Island may have to travel long distances to find food. When they arrive back at the beaches, they're almost white. In order to combat long hours in the icy cold water, a walrus is able to constrict its blood supply to serve only vital organs. But when they leave the water, their skins soon become infused with color as their blood vessels dilate again and blood is pumped to the surface. As a result, the resting animals exhibit many different shades, depending on how long they've been out of the water. Not all the bulls which come to Round Island haul out on the densely crowded beaches. Some of them are forced to use rocky ledges instead. For a 2-ton mature walrus, the rocks are more difficult to climb onto and less comfortable to rest on. So the ledges are used chiefly by subordinate bulls which can't infiltrate the main gatherings on the beaches. But even on the rocks, space is limited. Frequently, an animal expends great energy hauling its bulky body out of the water, only to find the ledges are already packed to capacity. New arrivals are usually given a poor reception. They often have to fight to gain a place. Beyond the resting animals, other bulls patrol offshore, looking hopefully for available places to haul out. If there's nowhere available, they stay in the water. But they relax here too. Walruses possess large pouches or laryngeal sacs along their necks. In order to increase their buoyancy, they inflate them with air. This allows them to float comfortably in the water so they can rest and even doze without coming ashore. In the water, walrus bulls often spend considerable time rolling and cavorting with each other in what can only be termed play. Once again, they're making the strange musical sounds which are associated with display. But here, no females are present.